Welcome to DC Shmooze with OU Advocacy. We're getting to know some of our nation's elected leaders and learning about their policy goals. Join us as we dive in.
Hello, my name is Nathan Diamond. I'm the Executive Director of the Orthodox Union's Advocacy Center, and welcome to this episode of the DC Shmooze. I'm pleased to be joined today by newly elected freshman congressman from the east end of Long Island, Congressman Nick LaLota, who's joining us from Capitol Hill. Congratulations on your election, sir.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be with you here today.
The Orthodox Union is the umbrella for synagogues around the country. We have quite a few in your district. I'm sure the folks there follow the campaign closely, but maybe folks more west on Long Island or beyond are a little bit less familiar with you. Please introduce yourself to the Orthodox Union community.
So great. And again, it's good to be on with you. I represent a suburban Long Island district. It's the North Shore of Suffolk County plus the Hamptons. It's all within Suffolk County. And myself, born and raised here on Long Island, went through the Naval Academy, served in a Navy uniform for 11 years, deployed overseas 3 different times, and grew my passion, my love for this country, knowing that this is the greatest country the world has ever known. When I left the Navy in my late 20s, I got to work in state and local government. Did that for about 10 or so years, and ran for Congress this year to succeed Lee Zeldin, who ran for governor. Proud to succeed him in a district that's about 75% the same. Right now, I'm serving in Congress. I'm on the House Armed Services, the Homeland Security Committee, and the Small Business Committee as well, but very active on all things that are pro-Long Island, all things that are pro-national security. That has made me a natural ally of all things Israel as well. So I look forward to our dialogue.
Well, great. We really appreciate that. Maybe I could ask you, since you mentioned you were at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, which is a really unique and special place. They just, I think about a decade ago, opened a beautiful synagogue and Jewish chapel there in Annapolis at the Naval Academy. I don't know if you had occasion to visit there or if you had friendships with Jewish midshipmen. Did you have any interesting experiences there with your Jewish colleagues?
Absolutely. And the clergy at the Naval Academy is multi-denominational, servicing people of all different religions, which I think is a very important thing for this country and its military. Of course, we're a country founded on religious freedom. And it's just natural to have clergy who is responsive to everybody's needs. Nice to know that the Naval Academy has made even more progress in that and in establishing different places for folks to exercise the worship in their religion. I haven't been back for a couple of years, but I do intend to go back now this year, given this new capacity. And I think it's a smart investment that you referenced.
Yeah, you should visit the chapel. It's really beautiful. Did you have occasion, in recent years, I don't know exactly when you were serving, but from time to time, the American military has done joint exercises with Israel and perhaps other allies in the broader region. Did you have occasion to do something like that?
No, I did not. I was mainly a Western Pacific sailor. I was stationed in Seattle. Each of my 3 deployments was to the Western Pacific, not to the Middle East, not anywhere near Israel. So no, my brother served 20 years in the Marines, so a Marine sniper who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I know that he was on very same missions as some of the IDF and others were a part of. So no, I didn't personally, but I am looking forward to opportunities in Congress to ensure that our Israel and the U.S. share intelligence to help fight a common enemy.
Well, thank you for that. Maybe we can expand on that. I'm sure, again, given your military service, which you already referenced, made you appreciate the role that Israel plays as a national security partner for the United States. What particularly from your military service, really brought that to a highlight for you, and or what other specifics do you have in mind?
So I think as a military person and as a New Yorker, 9/11 means a lot to all of us, and understanding what our enemies were up to before 9/11 and after 9/11, and knowing one basic thing. The same folks who would want to wipe Israel off the map, their words, not mine, want the same for America's fate. And I think understanding and appreciating that naturally lends itself to a very close alliance and relationship, one where we do share intelligence, we share resources, we have numerous things legislatively and budgetary in place to ensure that we have a strong cooperative relationship. And the way I see it is this: I was stationed on a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, which was stationed in territories where there could be possible hostilities. And we had several different ships around the aircraft carrier to help protect the carrier's defense. The strongest, the toughest, the best equipped of those assets was the cruiser, who would help defeat common threats to the carrier battle group, now known as the Carrier Strike Group. Where I see the Israel-U.S. relationship is very analogous to the carrier-cruiser relationship, where our fates are very closely aligned. The folks who would want to sink one want to sink the other. And knowing and understanding that, I think, quite easily lends itself to security assistance, fighting back on common enemies and adversaries like those who are in the government of Iran and elsewhere. I think that just basic understanding naturally leads itself to prudent decision-making and policy crafting going forward.
Thank you. You mentioned Iran and the terrible regime that's there. Thankfully, right now we have not re-entered or restarted a nuclear deal with Iran, which was a misguided policy of a couple of administrations ago. Thankfully, the current administration has not revived that, and in part, I guess, because the Iranians have done some even more terrible things. What do you see? Where do you see we are right now in the United States in terms of how we should be dealing with Iran going forward here in 2023, and what role do you think Congress should be playing in that regard?
So I'm worried about this issue. I see China, I see Russia, I see Iran. I see the world's second largest military. I see the world's fourth largest military, and I see a nation that has 10% of the world's oil reserves, all collaborating, all communicating together, not for America's benefit, but to the opposite. So I think America needs to, and this is mainly an executive branch function, needs to enforce diplomatic measures, needs to enforce existing sanctions when Iran does things like sends Russia drones to fight in the Ukraine. The U.S. and the UN should take that very seriously and enforce existing sanctions which are on the books, because if those three are allowed to team up together for the next 5 or 10 years, then Israel and the U.S. Will have a tough thing on their hands. So we should be very aware of that. We should be assessing all of our diplomatic and economic options so that we don't have to consider military. That's, of course, the option of last resort.
Right. You also mentioned you're serving on the Homeland Security Committee, and unfortunately, the American Jewish community is dealing with a historic surge in anti-Semitism here in the United States. The Department of Homeland Security plays a really important role in combating that, as do some other parts of the federal government. DHS provides the nonprofit security grants, which we're very involved in developing and having Congress support, which provides grants to synagogues and other houses of worship of other faiths to keep themselves more secure. What are your thoughts about how the federal government and Congress can be continuing or better addressing the rise in anti-Semitism?
Yeah, I think that we are a country that is founded on religious liberty. We should protect people of all religions. This should be a country where one can practice their faith or choose not to practice at all, and should feel safe and secure when doing so. And I think there are two main things. We should fund those security measures to ensure that people can properly exercise their freedom of religion. But I think that folks who have a voice, who have lots of followers on social media, should be pushing back aggressively each time this ugly rhetoric rears its head. We should be tweeting, we should be sending posts on Facebook and elsewhere, ensuring that we're aggressively pushing back on some of this ugly rhetoric each and every time.
Thank you for that. What are you, turning back to maybe some lighter topics? You're brand new to Capitol Hill. What's something that surprised you about joining Congress that you were not expecting in your first weeks as a member of the House of Representatives?
The footwear, if we're being candid. Senior members of Congress aren't wearing the hard-soled wingtips with the laces like maybe a generation or two always wore before us. But now there's this new sneaker shoe that a lot of folks are wearing because there's a lot of walk between the Capitol and one's House office building, and a lot of dress down in the footwear. Still, the proper suit, the proper traditional suit worn by most members, but there's a large number of members who have quite casual footwear. That was a welcome surprise for me.
So you've joined that crowd?
Now, there's not officially a comfortable footwear caucus, but if there was...
One of your other newly elected colleagues, Dan Goldman from Manhattan and Brooklyn, just started the Congressional Bagel Caucus. So I think, maybe this is your opening to launch a new caucus, the Comfortable Footwear Caucus.
True. I heard about that caucus about a week ago. I told my staff to stop all work and to ensure that the next order of business was me joining the Bagel Caucus, but maybe you're onto something too. Maybe we should have a comfortable shoe caucus.
Yeah. And being from the East End, which has a great tradition of fishermen, Billy Joel immortalized that in one of his songs. Not to put pressure on you to start a caucus, but what do you think? What do you think is a signature food item from Long Island that you would like to introduce some of your congressional colleagues to? Remember the OU certifies kosher food.
So I guess I have to stick with the bagels, I guess. But if I can get some kosher approved pizza's a staple here on Long Island that many of my colleagues in Congress throughout the country don't get a chance to appreciate how good Long Island's pizza really is, and maybe that'll make that part of my mission in Congress going forward too.
There you go. There are some good kosher pizza stores on Long Island. Is Plainview in your district?
Plainview is not. Plainview is in Nassau County, a little bit west.
Just missed it. Okay. I'm not. Oh, there's a good one in East Hampton, or West Hampton rather. I'm sorry. There is one there. And maybe we can arrange a stop in and do some promotion of Long Island pizza, the kosher variety.
I'd like that. Just don't make me publicize which pizza place I like the best, because I'll make one pizza place happy. And
no, you don't want to get into that. What if someone asked you, like, what's really, if you could accomplish one thing this coming 2 years, your first term in Congress, and you could only accomplish one thing, what would you say that would be?
So the most coveted position I have in Congress is serving on the House Armed Services Committee. I serve on a couple of powerful subcommittees there. It's a broad answer to your question, but I want to ensure that our military men and women are equipped for the nation's next conflict, not necessarily the last one, that they're properly equipped, trained, they have the right policies, they have the right leadership in place to either deter that next conflict, or if they're placed in that conflict, to win it and to come home safely. That's absolutely my greatest responsibility in Congress.
Well, we really appreciate that, and we appreciate so much that you serve this country as a member of the military. That is taking on an incredible responsibility, and thank God you made it through safely and well, and now you're continuing to serve the country and the people of Long Island in the United States Congress, which we're grateful for. And we also appreciate that you took some time to introduce yourself and have this conversation, so the Orthodox Union community could learn a bit more about you, and we look forward to working with you as a partner on common values and goals in this Congress.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. We have such a great country, but we need to keep on working on it to ensure it stays that way.
Thank you again, Congressman Nick LaLota. My name is Nathan Diamond, and this has been the Orthodox Union's DC Shmooze.